Dzień dobry wszystkim.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed lunch and that everything was okay. Do you like this event so far? Please respond. Okay, you're clapping, so we are very happy. Unfortunately, this event is drawing to an end, so it is my honor to moderate the first part of this public event as part of Doing Democracy that we have labeled Future Lab, a lab of the future, where the participants of the event will present their findings, the findings of the work that they have completed in working groups during this meeting. My name is Artur Koldomasov, and I am a PhD student at the SWPS in Warsaw, co-organizer of the event, and I also chair the alias 2408 Foundation. And I am very happy to be here with you. First, let me thank the entire team of Viadrina University for their efforts for the benefit of organizing this event, and I would like you to support me in extending our thanks to the team of Viadrina University. Honestly, this would not have been the way it is without the university's efforts. Thank you very much. I will not dwell on the introduction because some people have trains to catch and other plans, but let me present to you the first part of the entire, because we have a wonderful panel of specialists, experts representing different foundations and organizations who have an opportunity to support a number of projects on participation and participatory democracy. And to us, this is a great honor to have an opportunity to and to have the space for the representatives, for these representatives to present their ideas that they have been working on for 2 days in front of the panelists. So I will be very happy to present them to you. Let me say the name, the survey, and the affiliation, and one by one, I would like you to tell us about yourselves. Just a couple of sentences on what you do and also which projects you support in your organization. Let me start with Dr. Karola Lau from the Ministry of Economy, Environmental Protection and Europe in Brandenburg. And please support her. And I would also like to ask you to present yourself and tell us about your expectations of the presentations. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy to be with you today. I actually represent the European part of the Brandenburg Ministry. For 2 months, we have had a new structure, and I must say that that these European issues have been wandering from one place to another, but we are in charge of Brandenburg's international cooperation and also in relations with Poland, which means that we coordinate the neighborhood strategy and that we coordinate the specific areas wherever Polish Brandenburg issues are touched upon. We coordinate them. So I am very happy that today, in my luggage, I will take your expectations and the results of your work yesterday and today, and perhaps in our Brandenburg ministry, we will make use of these ideas. I'm here today because we have been organizing a series of Polish-German networking meetings. In December, we had guests from Berlin and Warsaw. It was an event hosted in Berlin, when we talked about different forms of disinformation, and so we covered what you talked about yesterday and today, and we wanted to touch upon disinformation in an active way. When it comes to support, we also are in charge, because we have access to European means, especially Interreg A, for larger and smaller projects. So we have the so-called Small Project Fund dedicated to Polish-German cooperation, and the small project part is related to the Polish-Brandenburg frontier area, so on the border, whatever happens on the border between the two countries. We also have larger sums of money dedicated to the larger projects, but within small projects, we have funds managed by Euro regions. So these are the three main areas that I would like to present, and I am looking forward to your presentations. Okay, welcome to our panel. Herzlich willkommen is the only phrase that I know in German. We also have Daria Mudzow-Wieloch, who represents the Polish German Foundation for Science, and I would like also to support you and to support her and thank her for her participation.
Thank you very much for the invitation and for the introduction. Let me say that I am the graduate of the Viadrina University, so it feels like home in Collegium Polonicum. So, and then I will continue in German, if you allow me. The Society Polish-German Foundation for Learning and Education deals with Polish and German project. So we are predisposed to realize formats in Polish and German when it comes to education. So we were established to realize Polish-German dialogue even better. So we consider discussing current topics in the society. You are more than welcome to participate in those, in the democratization processes. Recently, we have been dealing with the calls for proposal in the participation topic on the local level. Often the question is asked, what kind of role Christianity plays in the development of democracy? That kind of topics, or para-diplomacy. These are very important issues, not only for Viadrina, that are also being researched. These are topics in fake news, disinformation context. More and more often it is being discussed. That's why I'm very interested in what you have worked on yesterday and today, and what aspects are important to you at the moment. As I said, we support Polish-German projects, but we also make it possible to develop, expand this cooperation with other partners from other countries like Ukraine. We are happy to support three-party cooperations, the Weimar Triangle. That's another possibility of cooperation. In our statute, we're open for bilateral and trilateral cooperations, including SWPS and Viadrina University. They are very experienced applicants to our foundation. They have been filing the proposals many times. We have two formats of support. So these are research projects up to 150,000 euro, long-term projects, in total 150,000 euro. Smaller format, the projects up to 10,000 euro. And I believe this format can be used when we don't know which direction we are going. So if there is a certain topic field that we would like to develop or test the possibilities to cooperate with different partners, we want to invite them to this project because we believe that the meetings, conferences, small research projects or workshops could be created. And what we also offer, we offer support for scientific institutions, to support for associations. It would be good if a given association in its status include elements connected with scientific research work, because in this way, such an association can apply for our funds. If an applicant prepares the proposal, they should be focusing on the scientific aspect, but at the same time, they contribute something different connected with their activity as the element of civil society. So another panelist that we have is Mr. Krzysztof Izdebski, who represents Batory Foundation. And the foundation is involved in many wonderful initiatives. And again, a round of applause for our speaker. It's working. It just needed to be turned on the microphone. Thank you very much, and again, congratulations on the entire event. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. It will be probably much more interesting than what I have to say, but the organizers nonetheless asked me to share with you my work, what foundation is doing. My name is Krzysztof Izdebski. I'm the management board and the PR director for the Batory Foundation. And for many years before I joined the foundation, I was working with an as the expert on democracy, participatory democracy, and the contact point between technology and democracy. Then we were working on some technologies, how technologies influences democracy, and there we a lot talk about disinformation, because technology, despite the dominating topic of disinformation, for many years these technologies do influence participation processes. So there are different tools that our foundation was supporting, and if we have more time, I'm very happy to tell you more in detail and what my opinion is and what you should protect yourself against in realizing different projects, especially when we believe that technology will save our democracy and participation, that will do the voting via online. It's not that easy. But the foundation has two legs. The first part is that we are the donors. We are supporting with the funding, or we have our own financial resources, and we are often the operators of SERF European funds, and very soon we're starting new calls for proposal from the Norwegian funds. So what Norway is paying into the European Union, but is also granting this to the chosen countries, starting from Estonia, Poland, Portugal, Greece, because of the a little bit worse economic situation that they are experiencing at the moment. We are realizing the Norwegian funds together with 4 other partners in Poland. We are the leaders of a consortium, but we cooperate with the foundation Stocznia Shipyard Foundation. It's not only about granting them money, but also in the context of social participation, building the participation not only at the local level, including the society, the citizens in the decision-making process. Foundation for Rural Area Support. That's another very interesting project we are involved in, which is helping us to really reach really small communities. I think we've been doing pretty well so far, reaching small communities, but these are towns, but definitely not the rural areas. And it's also important for us in the times of the demographic crisis, economic crisis, and it's especially interesting in the rural areas. It's connected with the demography. There are young people, but also men and women. There are many more men, especially young men, staying in the rural areas, and then they, for many different reasons, quite often they join right-wing populist parties. So it's also important how to discuss participation and democracy with them. There is another partner in our consortium from Poland. It's an Education for Democracy Foundation. It is cooperating with the environments in Ukraine, communities in Ukraine, and a Norwegian partner. He's been with us for a year. I'm not able to say that in Norwegian. You can check the name on our website. It's too difficult to pronounce their name. So we will be collecting money, collecting funds for the Polish organization, and this is also part of how the organization must be registered in Poland, but not necessarily focusing on the deal or the projects that are being realized in Poland, because I can easily imagine the kind of partnership that the example is here. We have some regional projects where we invite specialists and experts that share their experience from other areas. And we have our own funds, but they are mainly, we invest them to institutions that nobody wants to support, like with the refugees, like the American funds were recalled. The government is more democratic than the previous government. It's also detaching themselves from that topic. So the small amounts of money that we invested in the refugee organizations. We are discussing in the management board to be a little bit more focused on different initiatives for the young people and involving them in politics. I believe it is a priority. I'm coming to an end. Yes, I know, because we are grant giver, but we also have our own think tank where we are discussing democracy, technology, participation at the local level. We are involved in a very interesting project. We cooperate with Ukraine a lot. I love this. For 20 years, we have been developing an initiative. It's called You Have the Voice, which supports local communities, being formal, being informal. And so far, they have been choosing what they want to get involved in. And this year, we asked them to talk about common areas, common places. And the feedback that we get from our participants of this program and other projects, and in those smaller towns and communities, we are missing a place that they can get together, they can meet. It doesn't have to be a specific place, physical place, but something even symbolic, a place where they could get together and talk and discuss. There were so many initiatives, we couldn't accept them all, but we have already supporting 120 different initiatives, and we believe that at this local level, the conversations and discussion works against polarization. And I believe that this is the problem that many countries in the new America are dealing with. Thank you very much for this introduction.
Let me also say that while compiling the list of Polish associations, foundations and other actors of civil society in Poland who are participating in this event, in the process we resorted to the results of this Masz Głos, You Have a Voice project. So thank you very much for this initiative, this one and others. Other initiatives of Fundacja Batorego. It so happens that Alfred Ross and Joanna Pergel will not be able to join us today, but instead we have an honorable substitution of a representative of Viadrina, but also a representative of the Polish-German Cooperation Foundation. So please again support our panelist and express your gratitude for her involvement in organizing this event. And so you have the voice. If I had money, as much money as the Polish-Germany Cooperation Foundation, I probably wouldn't be sitting here, even if I have the honor of representing it. Our foundation has supported our Doing Democracy conference and wanted to be represented by the anniversary that we are also celebrating, and that is the 30 years of the Polish-German Treaty of Good Neighborship. All the related activities make the foundation members very busy. It keeps them busy, so this is why I am sitting here in front of you. But I have also many times had an opportunity to be the beneficiary of the Poland-Germany Cooperation Foundation. We have had seminars and workshops supported financially by the foundation. They were hosted in Frankfurt, Słubice and Warsaw. And we also have had some projects between NGOs and universities, which is a part of the guidelines of the Polish-German Cooperation Foundation. The foundation has also sent a presentation, which is in this computer. I think that there's only 3 slides here that I would love to show you the logo of the university and their presentation, but I would also like to say that I am not the author of this presentation. If someone could help me to find it on the computer.
No widzę, że ludzie bardzo się cieszą właśnie w sąsiedniej sali, więc mam nadzieję na podobną reakcję na tę prezentację.
That your reaction will be as enthusiastic as possible. Make some noise. Okay, if so, then no slides.
Wir haben das ja auch gemacht mit der SWPS, also dass wirklich ein Antrag auf Deutsch-Polnisch formuliert wird. Man muss sich klar sein über die
what binds us with the SWPS University, well, we have
wichtig zu wissen
well,
ist,
the
dass
foundation
das Geld bekommt, entweder auf Polnisch oder auf Deutsch.
has relatively short and transparent forms in both languages available. The Polish or German partner is the leading partner in charge of taking care of spending the funds, and I think that the available funds have been adjusted by the inflation rate up to, it used to be up to 7,000 euros, or now it's 8,000 euros, but when it comes to the bigger projects, we're talking about much bigger funds to apply for. The Polish-German Cooperation Foundation has a very transparent website with lots of information. So I think that very interesting Polish-German projects can obtain funding. Maybe there are some different options too. A project from Fürstenwalde has come up. They also make donations available. I am very happy, very curious about the next presentation, and I am giving the floor to Artur. Okay, so I would like our next speaker. I would like to say that we have supported many projects together with the Science Foundation and the Polish-German cooperation projects. If you are thinking of a large-scale project, you can apply to us for extra funds, supplementary funds from the Polish-German Cooperation Foundation. It's possible. I would be happy to listen to your ideas. We have come up with an idea of giving some room, but also about sharing all these opportunities that your organizations have at their disposal, so that we create, we launch very important projects which support participatory democracy, and for this reason we hope that this information will motivate you to create various create space for implementing various projects. The more we have of these initiatives, the more we have of these projects, the better the situation will be in general, in the region, in the country, and even in your specific organizations. Even if it's smaller towns or villages, and I hope that this will motivate you, and I will be more than happy to listen to these presentations, and I am very curious about them. I guess my role at Future Lab has expired, and I would like to give the floor to Laura Banan-Fischer, who represents the Viadrina University, who will explain the entire process, how these presentations will take place. She will be speaking German, so whoever does not speak German, like myself, please make use of simultaneous interpretation available to you. Thank you very much for letting me moderate the initial part of the Future Lab, and I am keeping my fingers crossed for all the working groups that will be presenting their ideas now, and I am giving the floor to Laura. Vielen Dank again.
You're good.
Thank you very much. Thank you for presenting the foundations and organizations. Where to start after these 2 days full of dialogue, exchange, experiments, and knowledge, because we have learned a lot. I think that these topics mentioned by the panelists, like participation, the participation of residents in shaping their places of living, including rural areas, populism, rightist populism. Many of these notions have been repeated during the discussions in the past 2 days. What are we ahead of? We have 5 empty chairs, and I would like to ask the moderators from the 5 working groups to take their seats as panelists. Thank you for the applause, because they deserve it, but they also appreciate the support. One of the candidates has assumed the role of a moderator spontaneously. We have here students of Viadrina University. Is it something exciting? Just for our guests who are listening to our live streams, just to give them some background information of on what is going on in the room. When we invited representatives of civil society and representatives of academia, we asked to present posters, and once these posters have arrived, we tried to arrange the subjects so that they were aligned with the line of activity of the organizations who submitted the posters. So let's applaud the 5 moderators. Thank you very much.
In the work groups, we have the representatives from different environments. For instance, we have the academia participants, so the representative of science, and then the representatives of NGOs, different foundations. We have students from Poland and from Germany. So again, I would like to thank you all for bearing with us, for the patience that you did not. Thank you for supporting us with interpreters, because without their support we wouldn't be able to create those 5 working groups. I was talking about the posters. Perhaps after the event you could still read them. They are presented outside in the foyer. I wouldn't like to take any more of your time. I wouldn't like to keep you in this state of pressure. So of course we cannot talk about everything that we discuss. We'll just present to you the conclusions, and during the presentation, if you have any ideas what you would like to complement, is there anything you would like to comment, please do so. But after that, you will be able to comment on what is been said. So you can ask additional questions or comment. So this is in Polish. There should be another slide in Polish, I guess. Let's just leave it the way it is. So we'll start with our first group, the working group that was discussing the topic of youth and civic education in the age of multimedia disinformation. So we have a student who volunteered to report on the work of that particular working group. I'll try, of course, to step up to the plate and present to you all the points that we have been discussing. And we were looking at the youth and civic education in the age of multimedia disinformation. We were just talking about the access to institutions, how young people can be more effective accessing the institutions, the challenges connected with that, how frustrated they are about being unable to have an impact. When they are not given access to certain activities, we were discussing what can be done about that. We were talking how the cooperation in the civil society and the academia can be enhanced. How can this be improved? How can we build more trust towards public institutions? What to do with the polarization is the polarization, media polarization, is it negative? To what extent is it negative? There were other topics that we have discussed. But the question, first things first. What can be done to get the civil society and academia, bring them closer together? We started with the idea that how can we integrate the students? How can we create the bridge? Create the bridge between the civic society and universities or scientific institutions. So you can invite NGOs for academic classes, and then the NGOs could present the results of their work. We can create seminars where students are visiting the NGOs. They'd have a closer look from the backstage. They take a closer look at how volunteer work looks like. Maybe we could do some scoring system for the students for being socially involved in non-governmental organizations. We were discussing that the existing connections that we already have between the civil society and the academia, the existing ones need to be developed. How can we make this better, enhance it? When it comes to disinformation, maybe some of you participated in the works of that group, and you could share some comments. And who was in the first working group? Maybe you could say a few more words about the disinformation, and you could say a bit more. Yes, absolutely. I can help you with this. You mentioned the most important points, but the topic of our discussion, we were also talking about to what extent the difficulties in getting to the young people, reaching new people, how can this be made better? We have techniques, we have tools that can make it happen, but we don't have the knowledge about those tools, so the methodologies are there. So how to obtain this knowledge about the instruments that we already have? So how can we access a wider audience so that the people can learn that such possibilities are there? Debunking and tribunking. So in this way, I mean that we are not trying to explain what the disinformation is about, but we are also trying to take some preventive measures against disinformation. How to differentiate fake information from the reliable information. Anybody else from the first working group would like to comment or supplement? Oh yes, there is one person who would like to say something else. I was in the first group, and as the representative of NGO, the power of the youth, we focused very much on presenting the perspective of young people, what they think about the present-day democracy. As I said before, many of my peers are not interested in what is surrounding them, the politics or even the human approach to what is happening abroad and to the military conflicts. We were talking about how we can implement young people into the social initiatives, social projects and local governance, and also how to directly work against disinformation, prevent disinformation. And I personally suggested that when we talk about disinformation, we should be taking baby steps, not focusing on the big projects and the discussions with the government, but rather looking for simple local solutions, the way how we can support people who cannot grow or develop and notice, detect like something is fake on the internet. It's enough to give them some guidelines. If somebody is aware of that, then the answer to this is simple: talk about it, share it, because I think that sometimes we are afraid to share and mention something, that something was untrue, was not real, that there will be ridiculed, that their opinion, their perspective will be read as negative. But we as the citizens and people aware of the fact that something is untrue and we will not be talking about it, we will not have a chance to enlighten those who don't have knowledge about that. And simply, without having such a possibility, this information will continue to spread. The same for the public television. Many of the television channels are transmitted online. You can access them online. To solve the problem in disinformation, we could oblige the news, the public television, for the material to be available online with the possibility to comment. Because if some material is available online and you can comment on it, it can be verified, it can be researched, and it can be decided if what is being presented, is it real or is it fake. Thank you very much. Thank you for the first working group. I think that's very fascinating what you are talking about. You have touched upon so many aspects that already exist and the issues that are already under scrutiny. But on the other hand, you also paid attention to actions, taking baby steps by really acting. So if there are no other additional comments, thank you very much for the working group number 1. And now we are moving on to the working group number 2. Nobody said that there was a working group, different working group on the slide, and now we have working group number 2. That was the topic was challenges in enhancing dialogue and local participation. And if one person could report on that. Thank you very much. Together with Gregor, we will be doing the presentation. It was a wonderful working with you, especially in the context that we outlined yesterday and today. Let me say the following. The main topics that were discussed, these were issues connected with the structural conditions, like financing, political structures, but also as part of the projects, realized we talked about the language and inclusion. We talk about organizations that should have that maintain the durability of their work. So financing. So if you know the financing, if you have a certain budget, then you can plan, then you can develop. And then the question was asked, how can we finance that? And one of the ideas was that to have access to different financing sources, so that we can continue the activity of a given project if one financing source ends. Another important point that was mentioned was the issue how the work of the civil society can be evaluated. So evaluation is absolutely necessary. So we need some criteria to verify somebody's work.
These groups need to be valued differently. They are not companies that need to be verified with respect to their profits, but civil society organizations operate in a way that is difficult sometimes to value whether the projects were successful or not, how to evaluate them. Another item was inclusivity. And how can we include individuals in cooperation projects? And here an inclusive language is of great importance, because we are in an academic institution today. The language that we are using today is not easily accessible to everyone. And as part of cooperation, we need to pay attention when we have cooperation between academia and civil society organizations. We need to pay attention to the language that we use, what values are represented, who is included and who is excluded. We also talked about how the project should be shaped and what roles the specific entities should play. Science, academia were perceived primarily as a multiplicator of the work done by a civil society by means of MA theses, which are created in cooperation with different societies, and we're talking about workshops and a number of lectures. And a number of ideas was presented here. A very important element is the funds. The financing structure should be aligned with the needs of an NGO. There is a need for special programs, dedicated groups of subsidies for cooperation between civil society, civil society entities and science, so that the entities can be subsidized. This also holds true for political structures which support this cooperation or provide frameworks for this cooperation. Thank you very much. And again here, I would like to give you an opportunity to supplement the presentation. If there's any volunteers, yes, one. Thank you very much. I had the honor of being a part of this group. As a representative of the university, I was very surprised. Surprised and a bit terrified at of the conditions of NGOs' operations. We all know that the funds are short, and the problem of limited funds is very well known, but sometimes it is very difficult to obtain grants and support funds. Yesterday, we talked about the overlapping of participation and the political world, and here we also talk about public finance that follows its own logic, in cooperation with the administration organs, and it operates within some specific frameworks of guidelines and legal regulations, and we know how difficult the situation is now for civil society organizations that deal with minorities' rights or democracy. Sometimes the reactions are, the attitudes are either negative or downright hostile. So it's really difficult to follow the line in the face of the extreme rightist spectrum, and how difficult it is for NGOs when they are portrayed as an enemy. Thank you very much for this supplementation. I think this is an extremely important thing to talk about these aspects. For this discussion to take place, now group number 3, which handled strategies for fighting language of hate and rightist extremism. And the moderator who will present this group is Masha. Thank you very much for this introduction. Ours was a very dynamic group with new people coming. The composition would change, which was absolutely great, because as a result of this democratic process, we could collect many initiatives and perspectives, because nobody has a monopoly for the truth. And mostly we would discuss disinformation in the media and the hybrid war where disinformation is used, but also effective strategies, what we can actually do to counteract it. This is what I would like to cover briefly, but also the roots, the underlying reason why rightist extremism and language of hate can be propagated, extended so freely, coupled with propaganda, and how we can cooperate, how Germans and Poles can cooperate more strongly and learn from each other, at the same time taking into consideration post-migration and migration communities. I have mentioned it because in Poland, for example, when it comes to politics, some narrations, China and Russia are of importance here, but also in Germany, the biggest rightist extremist group is the Turkish group, and external, which is quite susceptible to external influences and susceptible to language of hate. And there are some entities which flourish in these circumstances. We have come up with many strategies, debunking, like the previous groups mentioned, also loops feedback. We can create those interfaces, the touch points where we can find out where these things come from, where they originated, how they originated, so that individuals can think of a message as a neutral one. We know that extremes sell better. They are better for algorithms and are pushed up by algorithms. The potential action plans, actions planned. NGOs and academia should be associated as working together. A very interesting idea was presented by from the policy sprint by the SWPS planned for November at the university. It revolves around presenting specific problems, and for 2 days the students can create policy papers. Potentially, this could be held parallelly in Viadrina, but I would like to give the mic to someone else. We also posed some questions and made comments which we think should reach the political decision makers, including how the European Union can provide regulations on Meta and TikTok to prevent situations that we are talking about, because we are quite dependent on these platforms. And how can we prevent misuse of democratic tools? And an example to a case in point here is interpretations provided by the AFD in the parliaments. They have so many of these regulations and questions that they actually sabotage the democratic process. They are entitled to do that, and they fully use this opportunity. How can we support effectiveness of democracy so that people do not feel helpless? We want people to feel that they are part of democracy and they can affect democracy. Another issue to tackle is to think of social media as critical infrastructure. It's not an optional tool. Oftentimes it's just an element of all the media and information processes. And also we put forward an idea that each local government in each municipality, there should be a position held by a person who thinks about the needs of NGOs and how they could be supported. And now I would like to give time to the other members of our working group and give the floor to them.
Ja, danke, Mascha. Also, ich glaube, ich würde als erstes fragen, ob es noch Punkte
Thank you very much, Mascha.
und auf die Idee mit dem Policy.
First, I would like to ask if there were points that have not been presented here, and policy brief will be expanded on further. Are there any items from Group 3 that have not been presented and you would like them to be presented? Okay, so let's go back to policy papers. Excuse me, we will go back to it. Now, in the next group, we will go back to policy papers. There was one more group that was dissolved in the meantime, so we did not really have 5 groups. The last group, the 5th group, that dealt with the rights of minorities, the LGBT plus and other minorities. Michaela was, you will be speaking in Polish, right? Yes, I will be speaking Polish to make things different. And the major subjects were funds. We had an opportunity to talk to an organization supported financially by the public sector, and they have 55 people in the organization, and there was another one which only has 1 person. So we had an opportunity to talk about the financing and providing financial support for foundations with public and private funds. We talked about professional burnout and about professional work in this respect, and also by the actors,
działaniu wobec mniejszości. Mieliśmy również takie przemyślenia, czy
towards financing some organizations and making sure that in some situations some minorities prevail.
rozmawialiśmy również o tym, że biurokracja
We also said that bureaucracy sometimes kills creativity and some activities that sometimes we cannot do things only because of bureaucracy, red tape, and the whole documentation that goes with it. And also we talked about public utility. We talked with the foundation, and the people said that sometimes it's difficult to fulfill the requirements and present the public utility in a justified way, even if there's many goals and possibilities, but sometimes it's really difficult to follow all the requirements.
możliwe działania zaplanowane
We have also planned for cooperation between the organizations invited to the conference, and
rozmawialiśmy o tym,
we have also talked about how to provide easily accessible projects that will commit people, engage people, and make them more engaged in political activism. We have also said that as an organization, we can learn from other organizations, especially when it comes to human rights, and translate the experience into a local perspective. We have also talked about how we can provide rules for funds and support. An important part of the element was we had different opinions because human rights are to some people a controversial issue, and we talked about how empathy and preventing polarization, how we can promote empathy without fighting with each other or against each other. Sometimes we try to fight the other party and we want to present our values. Unfortunately, this not always is successful, so I think that was just an interesting element of the discussion.
Yes, thank you very much. There were very full 2 days, very interesting 2 days. Maybe I will switch into German. So one point that I would like to say to complement what my colleague has just said is the following. there was a representative of an NGO in our working group. They were talking about endometriosis, about disseminating knowledge on endometriosis. Many women who suffer from endometriosis, they are discriminated against, not because they suffer from this disease, but they are, the examples of black people of color who are sexual minorities, and endometriosis would be one thing, but this is combined with other aspects that double discrimination, so to speak, and they require a lot of support. In Poland, for instance, we didn't we did not have any representative of the Jewish community. We had people who were perfect for the project, but we were not able to find their representatives. So I believe we should individually should look at the human being and not to do something what the academia is usually doing. So everything putting under the same generalizing too much. Rather, let's look at people individually. Thank you very much. That was a very nice summary of the presentations. Thank you very much to you and to other reporters of the working groups. Now it's important to popularize what we have worked on, what we have developed. So now we can start an open discussion. Again, thank you very much, and a round of applause for our the representatives of individual working groups. I like those presentations very much. Very good conclusions. You could also see, we could also notice specific idea for specific projects, even your presentation. So we would be very happy now to hear your reflections. The reflections of the panelists to what they have, what has just been presented. Let me start with Krzysztof. To make it fair, we started with the ladies, so we'll start with you. So what kind of reflections you have about what the working groups have presented? Was there anything that caught your attention? Any ideas that you see have the highest potential? Thank you very much, and I congratulate you on the discussion. And I truly say that it's difficult for me to choose an idea that was the best. It's not a ranking, but what struck me, but positively struck me, listening to all the four groups that were presenting, it was that you were presenting a very complex picture of challenges and solutions. It would be naive to say that had it not been for the disinformation, it would be fantastic. No, it sounded really well that the problem is the disinformation. It's an amplification of certain problems, but the source of the problem, that people are not empathic enough, that people do not respect each other, that we're unable to communicate and talk with each other, that NGOs do not cooperate so often with the academia and the other way around. The fact that some economic factors stand behind that. only this allows us to understand this area in which we are operating. And secondly, which is even more important, it allows us to choose adequate tools. There are some points that are noted down. I was not scrolling social media, I was taking notes on my phone. I would like to start maybe with a very interesting aspect that you observed, because these are also my observation in the context of academia and the NGOs. And one of the presenters said that the attitude is changing. It's not the attitude to NGOs is not the best. It's not the required one that deal with minority rights, for instance. We did a study in Poland how NGOs are being evaluated online. It's not a representative study. It means that this percentage of Polish people believe so. We have other studies that are more moderate or more balanced. There is a lot of trust to them. They're organizations that deal with animals, sick children. Of course, they have a little bit different. Society relates to them in a little bit different way. But checking online activities, unfortunately, doesn't look very well. So if somebody opens a website and looks at the comments on the articles, or will be social media portals, TikTok, Twitter, whatever that is, they will learn that NGOs are politicized, they do nothing, only take the money. They are only there to criticize. They are involved in unnecessary issues. So this entrance threshold is very difficult. It's very unjust evaluation. It's not representative, but for the politicians who are also observing the social media, that's the image that the NGOs have. So why would I get involved in any cooperation with an NGO? So at the same time, we also have to give ourselves the credibility just to be heard. If they believe that we are stupid, to make things simple, nobody's going to listen to the message that we have that we want to communicate. It's about respect, it's about empathy, it's about cooperation, a common language. You also talked about the language of inclusiveness. I think it's more the topic for academia, but we NGOs, we are also not so good at communicating with each other. I believe this is something that we should also scrutinize a bit. From the point of view of the Battery Foundation and other grant givers institutions in Europe or somewhere else abroad, the burnout issue and the frustration connected with the social activity. I'm glad that you said it. You people who support NGOs financially, that you also observed it. In the Norwegian programs that I mentioned before, part of the funds can be also given for a certain project, but also for developmental projects for the organization, institutional support of organization, to take a breath, to relieve the stress that we have every day. And if maybe sometimes we are not aware that this is a long-term financing. For most of my adult life, I was on the other side, so I was going and asking for money. And I know how important that is, especially for the new organization, to give them momentum, but also for the old ones. And that's the kind of the philosophy that we have in the Battery Foundation. We live in a vast changing reality. Even if we plan a year-long project, suddenly the world is changing. COVID, war in Ukraine. We need to be flexible, and the institutional support and a strong institution can adequately, properly react. If we focus on the 12 months of implementing project 2 as we exactly planned it, it's not always effective due to outside, external causes. Like an NGO, as you can see, I talk a lot, nobody's going to listen to me, but I'm coming to an end. I also liked when you talked about the social media as the critical infrastructure. It is not reassuring because these are also discussions done on the corridors in Brussels. It's a matter of politics and the relations between America and Europe. This is making things more complicated, but I do agree that social media, social platforms are the critical infrastructure. Many times we could see, but military activities are taking place in the social media. We should not be afraid to say that out loud. But as you said before, you talked about the language of hate, how we communicate these issues not being seen as a censor, and the populists would gladly put a censorship on our activities. And it's important to balance the respect to another human being. Congratulations. I'm very happy that we're gonna have a continuation of that. It has already been planned, yes. One more question. Did you have any specific idea for a specific project? Did you fish it out from the presentation that could be polished a little bit and prepared for a grant for the funding? Did you notice anything like that in the presentations? There were many ideas. I don't want to, because these were just the seeds of the project, but the project that I liked the most was the idea for the cooperation of the academia and the civil society. It doesn't have to apply to a certain area, but introducing a kind of a mechanism that would connect the civil society and the academia. This conference is very interesting because we only talk about the things that need to be done or should be done, but you're actually sitting down and thinking how it can be done to connect the NGOs and the academia. It would be fantastic to go in that direction. I think there are many who would be happy to do that, and in this way they can picture what it might look like. It's easy to say cooperate, but then the question is how. And to have good practices, good examples of cooperation, work on the models or the patterns of that kind of partnership, that would be wonderful.
Thank you very much for the replies. And now, what do you pay most attention to? Did you come up with ideas that you enjoyed? Is there potential in them? And if so, what kind of potential? Please comment. Yes, I would love to do that. I would also like to thank you for a very wide range, but also an in-depth approach to the subjects. What I have been impressed is the combination of the different levels and the combination, the overlapping of them. We have NGOs, and as someone from the state administration, it affects me. So I'm thinking, okay, so we need to take a step further. What kind of programs in state administration do we need to launch? How can we implement it? Do we need any structures? And what does administration need to do as part of these structures? So I could see direct references here. I cannot think of a universal answer to the questions asked. Some of these issues are really difficult to handle, really tough ones. And the first quite specific thing, the longevity of projects. We know it. Nothing new under the sun. There's a need to provide long-term finance so that the employees have some perspectives, and this really is difficult. I have mentioned Interreg as a source of EU funds accompanied by specific regulations, but institutional financing is really very difficult. And I think that we have had some solutions in the presentations, how to combine different funds, different subsidies, different pots in which these funds are provided, so that we can combine funds from different foundations, different funds, combine them. This is not an ideal solution, but it is a method for the longevity of our activities. When it comes to calls of proposals, and we need to remember that at this early stage, there are some very experienced entities that know the system, the landscape, but if we are dealing with a new organization and it's a little, all this looks like a big piece of machinery and you do not even know which button to press first. Believe me, in public administration it is not always easy, but you can find the people, the places, the institutions that can be of help, that can advise you. And if you have an idea how to sell it, in our case, in administration, we need to refer to some conceptual context of a specific region or country. You need to find the right people. Public administration is a service, and I know that it looks like a huge block far away and quite difficult and not very accessible. But in fact, when you look at a specific, when you find a specific contact person, you can achieve a lot. And that would be my universal recommendation to, for the agency of democratic processes, you mustn't underestimate. You mustn't think, what can one letter to the minister do? It doesn't mean that it will change as if touched by a magic wand, but my experience from the ministry tells me that somehow the letter will reach someone, not the minister, but the minister will forward it to the right person. And as a result, you may get a helpful reply, or even if it hasn't helped, you know that this subject has already been touched upon. This is not always a direct solution, but you mustn't underestimate things. Also, as a small organization, as an individual, you can ask for a meeting. We are looking, so you look for the contact person. And I know that sometimes it looks like a huge barrier, but my recommendation would be try to do things, try to make steps. The European Affairs Department is not a typical department at the ministry. We think rather horizontally across various areas, but in public administration there are individuals who deal with a specific subject, and it is a good idea to try to reach them, even if the first attempt is not successful. The Department for European Affairs that I represent tries to use meetings and cooperation with different entities to cooperate. We cannot do everything on our own. We try to do networking through which we can do more. And therefore, I think it is worth keep trying and So that was just a general introduction. Daria, the same questions, the same reflections that we have heard. Have you come up with any specific ideas that something that caught your attention, and maybe something that you would like to share with the participants? Thank you very much. I am impressed of what you have presented, very diverse subjects presented in a short time and an in-depth presentation. I do hope that I will be able to sum it up. Some of these subjects sound like some research projects, a comparison between Poland and Germany in terms of disinformation, and what subjects are centers of disinformation in Poland and in Germany, and what is the response to them in Poland and in Germany with respect to the specific political parties or subjects. I think that this comparative study would be extremely interesting. Indeed, we often think only in the context of your own country. You don't think what happens across the border, and such comparative studies would certainly offer a good perspective. Our foundation subsidizes, so unlike Fundacja Batorego, we do not have some thematic sectors. We try to leave creativity for the applicants, and we refer to the subjects that are presented to us. Oftentimes, some very detailed questions are asked of us. Can we do this or that? We wonder where does this question come from, because it's not from our documents, but then there must be organizations that have very detailed requirements, whereas we offer a lot of room, freedom, and after 2 years, a project for 4 years applies for changes, and we try to make it possible to refer to the needs. Interesting from my perspective is that NGOs oftentimes deal with controversial issues. Often they enter a society that is not ready for anything to discuss. And I think that this local resilience would be also interesting to discuss. Even more interesting would be the indicated areas where you could safely talk about disinformation and more difficult subjects. I don't really know if there are some kind of if such areas for exchange exist for young people. And I'm talking about a neutral environment. Do you have such experience? I don't know. Of course, we have some structural problems when it comes to financing. We have talked about the challenges faced by NGOs, and the more of a reason for us to admire and recognize the diversity of NGOs. I can only encourage you and support you in continuing your activities. And as it has been mentioned here, when you think about the formats, how can I cooperate with a specific college or university or universities in general? We have these simplified projects up to 10,000 euros where you can test some ideas, work on some new formats, that have not gained popularity yet, and for the donation institution, for the donors, it may seem a bit weird. So the idea would be, okay, this is a little bit new. We do not want to take the risk, but this can be tested as part of our new, our small projects. Science as a multiplicator. This is very important. Science as the foundation for your activity, so that the range of activity is increased as a result of synergy. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, it's a good thing that you got the cue. During the presentation, I have also seen the need there's some people who would like to speak up. I will cruise around and I will ask you if you would like to comment on what you have heard, or maybe just to give more tips on what has been presented here, or with reference to your projects. So if someone would like to talk, this is the moment to do that. So hands up, and Laura will give you a mic.
Hello, good afternoon. I would like to thank you for inviting us for the invitation. I'm the representative of the youth and politics. It's a very interesting platform and a very interesting format. It's the first edition. I hope it will be you continue this in the upcoming years. I would like to say what you have already said in the discussion and the presentations and in our working group. A very interesting topic was being discussed. That what I found out in Viadrina University, there is a person who is the connector between the academia and the NGOs. I know that this is partially financed by the city and partially financed, but I'm not sure whether that's the university or the NGO. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's something absolutely fantastic, something that should be considered not only in Poland, maybe other universities, because then it would be a person who could be the link between these two organizations, between the academia and the NGOs, because as we don't, this person is not there, the communication is not enough. It's not the fault of the NGOs or only of the academia. This is something a mechanism that we should implement and be working on. This is something I haven't heard about before. Perhaps we can think about it, to have a team or a person who could be a spokesman, who could be the link between the civil society and the academia and the NGOs. So I just wanted to share with you the idea that stayed with me after these 2 days of very inspiring discussions. Fantastic reflection. Thank you so much. Is there anybody else who would like to comment and the opportunity and speak in public? I see. Yes, the yellow T-shirt, gentleman in the yellow T-shirt. Yes. First, I would like to say a few words about the social media as a critical infrastructure. That's truly important, but when we were talking about that, what I had in mind was the one thing as the critical infrastructure, but as a public infrastructure as well. That's something that is commercialized, and I think that most of the problems that we appear in the social media, they are connected with the fact that the social media is designed to make money and not to create a space for communication. So this threat is quite interesting for me. What else can we design? What else can we do for the social media not to make money, but be like a platform for sharing knowledge? I think it is the case in many cases. it's exactly the same mechanism. In Warsaw, there was a debate whether the city should respond somehow to the demographic crisis, create like a state-owned dating app, because often the apps are created not to find the love of your life, but to make money. So that's just another idea that I had. And then the policy sprint. I would like to comment on that. That can be a model that can be replicable and interesting. So you work in the public administration on a daily basis, and I'm very much interested in those structures and system. I believe it can be a specific model that we could implement, and what we did in SWPS University, it can be like a pilot study, and the source of financing could be evaluation, scientific project to see if it makes sense and to see if it can work well in both places. So there are a few steps that we discussed, and the first step is that we get together with the local government or the city and we decide together what kind of problems there are. So there are problems that the officials are not able to solve, so or they don't have time for that. Then we recruit. Then we start a recruitment procedure. We recruit students. We recruit representatives of NGOs, maybe also the officials and the residents. But it's important for them to get deeper into the topic, and then the fun part starts. So the weekend, 48 hours, we are brainstorming creative design of public solutions. And we would like to use for that the methods of design. It's the new trend in public policies. And for the 48 hours, the participants divided into teams. They can be working in a very creative way. And then we finish the weekend with very short presentation of ready-made, specific, initially tested prototypes, and then the representatives of the city who came up with the same, who came with the same problems, also prepare the solutions, and can be the winner, can be given some kind of symbolic financial prize, and we. Then the NGOs are lobbying in the city how to implement those solutions. It's the platform to combine these groups. And again, we are applying here to the specific problems that the administration is voicing, so we can solve them. And thirdly, this experimental form, that we do this within 48 hours and not within 4 years. And these are different people from different groups who use different methods, design thinking, designing a product. These solutions can be truly innovative, and in this way, we can have solutions that would never be created behind a desk. And if in this way the administration can be more modern, more friendly, so the whole loop closes itself.
Thank you very much for this insight. Please take opportunity of the little time that we have left, and so we have time for one more comment. Any volunteers? Okay, Ania is always a volunteer. So, okay, go ahead. Okay, so if I have this opportunity, I will take it. I can see experts in financing as academic teachers. What can we say? Oftentimes, we talk about shared interests. So if NGOs are our partners, then we invite them to seminars. This is great for the students, but what is the outcome of it? Okay, there's some social capital involved, but these people work do not work for professional remuneration. I don't know how to combine the formats from this. From these two areas. I don't know if inviting NGOs to seminars is a good idea. What's the difference? Are we talking about volunteers, people that do these things in their free time? Do you think they could be remunerated for this? No, they couldn't, because the university does not have the money to pay them for coming to academic seminars. Of course, if this is a university lecture, then probably there's some royalties involved, but I really have run out of ideas how to pay for this, how the university could pay for this. I can see that some people are already on the way back. Some people are preparing for the end of our journey through different dimensions of participatory democracy. Thank you very much for your participation in this event. Oh, one more thing. Krzysztof, I'm sorry, but we couldn't hear the question from the back. Very briefly, starting with the bridge. I don't think it will work if we have a new institutions. What I can advise, I probably won't be reinventing the wheel, but it stems from my experiences, not only from Fundacja Batorego, but also much smaller organizations. And I think I can say it out loud because I am an academic teacher myself in Warsaw, so I should know what I'm saying. Academic teachers are suffer a lot that not many people read what they write on top of other academics. That's the truth. And there's also a sensation, and members of the academia know perfectly well that they know what this is all about. Things will be discussed maybe during a conference, or some people will read it, but NGOs can dig up some very interesting research and coin them into very practical issues. So my experience says, even if I worked in an NGOs that consisted of 2 individuals, we had absolutely no money to offer, I came across a very interesting article, and I would call the author and I say, this is great what you have done, and it also supports our reliability because we have data that shows that whatever we do makes sense. So maybe we could have a joint event, even on Facebook or elsewhere, or maybe you would like to write a text, a blog on our website. We have a lot of such relations because I think that what is most important when it comes to local communities, it's not about more institutional forms, but networking, calling someone, saying the text you have written is great, maybe we can have a project together, maybe we'll have the money for it, maybe not. Many academics do not expect remuneration. Many NGOs not always expect remuneration, although money of course comes in handy. But we should have the courage to pick up the phone and build relations with academia and NGOs. It was surprising for me how people from illustrious academics from the law department who charge you a lot for an hour of their work, they do it for free because they need a sense of sense, because they not always want to deal with very difficult issues that do not bring about any social change, whereas there's an opportunity for do that. They sometimes want to do something for others, but they do not know how, and NGOs may help them do that. So this is what I would support. And the public infrastructure, something very close to my heart, because I have been dealing for years with open programming, and a large part of the IT infrastructure, especially the public one, should be open and available to everyone. Poland was to have its own communicator, and it didn't pan out. So what the transatlantic contacts are most important now, and the European Commission has withdrawn from something that it did very well several years ago, and that was the breaking of the monopolies of American platforms, and TikTok is also largely American, based on Microsoft, and we tend to forget that. So this is another barrier, but the biggest barrier, in my opinion, is the comfort of the users. So the companies that have the money, their products are wonderful, great. I don't know if you have tried alternative technologies. There is something very similar to Twitter. It's called Mastodon. It's independent. It's open. I was very open to it. I have made many attempts, but it's unusable. I'm sorry to say that. It's not very convenient. And they don't have the money to really develop it, and that's it. Okay, I won't, because everybody wants to leave probably, so Alexander said the first word, and he should probably say the last word. Okay, but we have one more opinion here. Shortly from me, about building up contacts and networking. We also have Polish-German networking methods. We have 250 addresses of individuals and institutions that work on the touch point between Poland and Germany, NGOs and local actors, authorities. That's a very colorful mixture of individuals and organizations, 250 entities. So if we have an event, they can contribute, they can disseminate the information. It helps. Information about the activities is passed down to more or less involved. I could recommend this because someone says, I've got a concept and I'm looking for partners who would like to develop this concept with me. So I put it into this agenda, into this forum, and I say, anyone interested? So let's keep doing this. This is generally a method of finding partners and informing of what you're doing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the questions, for the opinions, remarks. I would like to refer to what my predecessor said, especially the issue of science and NGOs. I think that we have noted a trend in our donation activity. The number of relations is growing, especially Polish NGOs are extremely active. We have many of them cooperate with us, and we can see how important it is for the results of research be used and be well applied and disseminated. We'd say it's an ideal couple that should become a model case. to meet some social challenges, to do that through those two sectors. Thank you very much for your replies, and I would like the audience to thank our panelists. And we would also like to thank everyone for participating in these in this two-day-long event. And on behalf of the SWPS, I would like to thank our team at Viadrina. My thanks go to Sandra, Birte, Laura, and all the other members of the team who have contributed to organizing this event. I would also like to thank those who hopefully are watching us online, and we would also like to thank the team of interpreters for serving us here throughout the 2 days, and also thanks to you, the participants of the event. Hopefully you found it interesting, and from what I know, Anja has a couple of words to wrap it all up.
Ich wollte auch nur dir danken, lieber Arthur, der einen Tag in Słubice ausharren musste.
I would like to thank you, Arthur, or you had to 1 day longer here in Słubice because we could finally join you in person. Thank you so much, and very glad that you were here with us and you could perform this role. And you were all in the background without Sara Damus, but Birte Petes, without Sandra Enfans, and without Laura, we would not have been able to pull it through to organize all that, the complexity and the places we have visited, and the different formats that we have built together with new discoveries. Thank you so much for that. ERUA Alliance. There's not enough of the applause, to be honest. But the posters you created had to be transported from one place to the other. To the very last minute, you were working on the organization of the event. Thank you so much. Thank you. Big thank you to all the participants. That's the future lab, right? How will this be continued depends on us. Now we have a fantastic website, and as long as ERUA Alliance exists, the posters are just the beginning. Please keep sending to us your ideas, and let's continue this cooperation. Big thank you to everyone. Travel safe travels, and see you next time. Thank you very much. Like Anja said, have a safe journey home, and I hope we will continue this event next year. If we have such, there will be ideas for the project. We'll signal that to the ladies here. Thank you to all the partners who have joined the organization of this event. Thank you so much. I wish you a very nice afternoon. Thank you.